What is happening? So, UFC going down, Las Vegas, the Apex this weekend. Not the greatest card, but still money to be made. Before we start, I want to put this on my screen here. I got an email from Steven Silver, or it was from BetUS, that they will refund you up to $500 on your next wager if it does not win. That is incredible. I've never got an email like that from a gambling website saying they're going to refund me $500 for a loss. That's crazy. That's why you got to use promo code Iceman. Only available in US, Canada, and Europe. Now, Mackenzie Dern takes on Yao Shannan. Let's start with the bottom. Guido Canetti takes on Randy Costa. Guido Canetti, he's got one win in his last four fights. And that was to Chris Matinho. He knocked him out standing, which was pretty impressive. Chris Matinho is a tough dude. Sugar Sean, that's the guy. Sugar Sean knocked out in the third, I believe. And he's taking on Randy Costa. Randy Costa's coming off two straight losses himself. One to Adrian Yanez. Adrian Yanez is the real deal, though. And the other was to Tony Kelly. Both finishes. I'm probably going to go with the over on this fight. I'm going to go over 1.5. Next, Maxim Grishen takes on Felipe Lins. I like Maxim Grishen. He's pretty good. His only loss in his last three fights was to Dustin Jacoby. And Dustin Jacoby, the real deal kickboxer. His last fight, he beat Felipe Lins. He's fighting Felipe Lins. Felipe Lins, his last fight, he lost to Tanner Boser in that first round, pretty bad. But his last fight, he was able to get a win over Marcin Prachnio. Man, Maxime Grishen, he's coming off a win over William Knight, so it's gonna be a close fight. This one, I'm leaning towards Maxime Grishen. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Maxime Grishen. I believe both those guys used to fight at heavyweight. Now it's this fight's taking place at 205, which is interesting. Yeah, it's gonna be a close one actually. Next, Krzysztof Jocko. I like this guy. He's really good. Even though people underestimate him a lot. So after that loss to Sean Strickland, Jocko came back strong. He beat Misha Serkinov and he dominantly beat Gerald Meerschaert in unanimous decision. And before the Strickland loss, he beat Eric Anders, your boy. So his last four fights, he's 3-4, not bad. And that one loss coming to Sean Strickland. You know, Sean Strickland is a gamer. He's taking on Brendan Allen. Brendan Allen, he's coming off two straight wins to Sam Alvey, which, everyone's beating Sam Alvey. And the last one was to Jacob Malkoon. He did get knocked out by Chris Curtis. Chris Curtis has been looking good. I'm slightly leaning towards Krzysztof Jocko in this one. I think he's got more experience with higher level guys, so I'm just leaning towards Krzysztof Jocko. Up next, Jesse Ronson, Joaquim Silva. Jesse Ronson, the Canadian. In his last four fights, he only has one win, not including the no contest to Nicholas Dalby. Yeah, he beat Troy Lamson by RNC. And he's taking on Joaquim Silva. Joaquim Silva actually just beat Neil Magny in a grappling match. But in the UFC, he's been getting knocked out. He got knocked out by Nasrat Haqparast. And he got knocked out by Ricky Glenn. So his last two fights in MMA and the UFC were vicious knockouts, and he's taking on Jesse Ronson. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the over on this one, over 1.5. Next, Ilir Latifi. He's taking on Alexei Olinik. Alexei Olinik, how old is this guy now? 45? This guy must be the oldest guy in the UFC. Is there anyone older? I'm not sure. Let me know. But You know, Lexi Olinik, he's known for submitting guys. He's got that crazy Ezekiel choke. He like pulls mount. I've never seen anybody pull mount in my life. There's people pull guard who like good jiu-jitsu guys, they pull guard, but pulling mount. He's got a fully locked in Ezekiel choke from the bottom. Just that's unheard of, man. That's crazy shit. But he's like 45 years old. He's taken on Ilir Latifi. Latifi, he's never been submitted. So I'm gonna go with Ilir Latifi. He should be able to get it done against the 50-year-old. So I'm going with Ilir Latifi. He's never been submitted, so we'll see. Alexi might be the full. Olinik might be that guy to do it. Now Mike Davis, Beast Boy. He'd had that loss to Gilbert Burns in 2019, but no shame losing to Gilbert Burns. After that, he racked up 2 wins. He was supposed to fight Jai Herbert and Uros Medic. Both fights got canceled. Now he's fighting Chev. Chev, he was on a roll before he got to the UFC. He had that one win in the Contender Series, and then he got another great win against Dakota Bush with a liver shot in the first round, which was pretty vicious. But then his last fight, he fought Mark DeCasey, who just out-grappled him that whole fight. I think this fight with Mike Davis is going to be a little different, though. I think this is going to be a close one. I actually like the underdog in this one. I'm going to go with Boris Chev. Up next, John Castaneda. Coming off 2 straight wins. Before that, he lost to Nathaniel Wood, taking on Daniel Santos. His last fight was a loss to Julio Arce. And then I haven't seen any much of him. That was his only fight in the UFC, was to Julio Arce. And he lost a unanimous decision. Before that, he was on the regional scene, 8-1, pretty good, but UFC is a little different. And John Castaneda, he's got more experience in the UFC. He had that loss to Nathaniel Wood, like I said, but Nathaniel Wood's the real deal. So I'm slightly leaning towards John Castaneda on that one. I think more fight experience, so I think he should be able to get it done. Sadiq Youssef, I'm not even going to get into this one. He was supposed to be fighting Giga Chikadze. That was the fight they were trying to book. That fight pulled out a couple times. Now he's like, I think they asked someone short notice to fight Sadiq Youssef, and he's just going to run through Don Shameless. Even though this Don guy, he's got like 5 wins in a row, not bad, but he's never fought in the UFC. That's the thing. Like, yeah, you were able to rip it at Cage Titans and FAC, but now you're fighting in the UFC against Sadiq Youssef. Sadiq Youssef is the real deal. Yeah, he lost to Arnold Allen, but ever since then, that's his only loss in the UFC was to Arnold Allen, and Arnold Allen's undefeated, or he's got 1 loss, 18-1. So I'm going Sadiq Youssef all day in this one. It should be an easy one for Sadiq. Hani Barcelos, Trevin Jones, Hani Barcelos. Man, this guy was a guy who came in the UFC on fire, dude. He was a guy who beat Said Nurmagomedov. No one's really beaten Said Nurmagomedov. That was the only loss in the UFC for Said Nurmagomedov. And Hani Barcelos, though, after he beat Said, he beat Khalid Taha, and then he took some time off. I think it was injury. He got injured and a bunch of fights pulled out for him. He was supposed to fight Merab Dvalishvili. That pulled out. The Sun Sal pulled out. And then he fought Timur Valiev. And Valiev won a decision. Then he fought Victor Henry. Victor Henry won a decision. Now he's taking on Trevin Jones. Trevin Jones, 13 wins, 8 losses. Not the greatest record. He's coming off 2 straight losses. I think Hani Barcelos should easily get this one done. Let's see here. Randy Brown, Francisco Trinaldo. Randy Rude Boy Brown. He's his last 5 fights, last 6 fights, he's got 5 wins. So 5 wins in his last 6 fights. That's pretty good. That loss came to Vicente Luque. No shame in losing to Vicente Luque. That was 2 years ago. And he's coming off 3 straight wins and a very impressive win over Chaos Williams. So Chaos Williams for real. And it was a split decision. Some people thought Chaos won, but whatever. That's up to the judges. And he's taking on Francisco Trinaldo, who's 44 years old. Yeah, this guy's 1 year younger than Olinik. Francisco Trinaldo, he is 45, but he's been looking good, man. His last, 6 fights, he's got 5 wins too. And that one loss to Muslim Salikov, he even beat Jai Herbert, which is pretty instant. And Bobby Green, he beat Bobby Green 3 years ago. But yeah, I think at this age, I don't know. I'm going with 32-year-old Randy Brown, 6'3". He's good, man. I just hope he's able to keep it on the feet. If he's able to keep this fight on the feet, he should be able to get it done. And the main event, Mackenzie Dern. I'm a jiu-jitsu guy. I'm going with Mackenzie Dern on this one. I think her jiu-jitsu should just completely overwhelm me.